Hello everybody, John here, and today onto the garage we've got an end of year quiz, a little bit of roundup of what's been going on with fleet spend and mileage, and a few little announcements, and I hope you're going to enjoy it. Well, on the 27th of December 2021, I held a quiz online using Zoom. And you may not have known about that, and that was because I invited a specific set of people. And I contacted via email all of our subscribers who had been kind enough to buy a sticker or a calendar or a hat from me in the past. That wasn't elitist. It was intended to keep down to a reasonable size audience so we could do a few little tests on technology and see if it would work using Zoom and a sort of interaction during the quiz. And in the main, the answer to that was yes. And the other reason is that, quite simply, in the main, if somebody has bought something from the website shop, a sticker, a calendar, etc., then I'll have their email on record because it's kind of part of the buying process. I emailed everybody who was on that list and invited them along to the Zoom meeting, knowing that a lot of people wouldn't be able to come. Also, while we're having this conversation, if you have your details on my website because you've purchased something in the past, then please feel free to contact me and say, please delete it, John. I don't want you to hold any details. I mean, that's brilliant. I've got no issues whatsoever, and that'll be done instantly. And thank you very much for supporting the channel. However, I may use that method for communicating some of the upcoming things in the future. And is that a mercenary attempt to get you to buy a sticker from me? Partially, if I'm absolutely honest. But also, it was really convenient to be able to just do one email out and know where it went to a particular crowd of people. YouTube is my hobby and YouTube is my favourite medium, but not everybody watches it at the same time. Some people watch a video 6 months down the line, and obviously that's no good for communicating something that's coming up. Likewise with the website, some people visit it regularly, some people never visit it. If I've got an email address, I know people are receiving. So just something to think about. Buy a sticker, support the channel, and if I've got anything that I need to share, upcoming events, etc., I can get on with that. For those of you who weren't able to join us for that inaugural test quiz, then what we're going to do today is share back the questions so that you can enjoy having a crack at answering them just for fun. Well, here we go. So on this quiz, we have 3 rounds. Each round contains 5 questions and therefore 5 possible points. We'll stop at the end of each round and give you the answers. Round 1 is called cats, which is as vague as can be. Let's get on. And the first question is, which manufacturer supplied the original equipment tyres for the X100? So when our cars left the factory, the Jaguar factory in the UK, what tyre were they wearing? And all the standard launch cars came out with one particular brand on. And by an X100 we mean steel-bodied XK8s and XKRs. Question number 2. There is only one country to which X100s were supplied with heated seats as standard from launch. Do you know which country that is? As a possible clue, more likely just as a quite interesting point, it's also recorded by Jaguar as the country with the highest standard spec for their cars. And I believe that's still true to today of Jaguars. The highest standard specification goes to the same country. Question number 3. To the nearest 10,000, how many X100 Jaguars were produced? That's total. So all cars produced between 1996 and 2006 of steel-bodied construction, so XK8s, XKRs, coupes and convertibles. How many do you think were made to the nearest 10,000? Question number 4 and 5 are combined and completely different, even though they're part of our round on cats. 2 of these are true. And it's not a trick question. We are talking about the furry cat, the animal kingdom cat known as the Jaguar. Below are A to G statements. Only 2 of them are true. You get 1 point for each of the statements that you select as true if it is true. So, do you think A is true? They're the fastest of the cat family. B, they have the strongest bite of all mammals. C, they are only found native in South America, and by native we just mean obviously things escape, things are in zoos, people own them as pets, incorrectly in my opinion, but where do they actually live? D, they have the longest tails of all cats, and that includes domestic cats. They cannot swim. Jaguars are mute. They're completely silent. And G, Jaguars are vegetarian. Only 2 of those statements are true. Write down which of those 2, which 2 you think it is. Get them both right, 2 points. If you need more time, press pause now. Otherwise, we're going to go into the answers. Question 1 was, which manufacturer supplied the original equipment tyres for the X100? The correct answer is Pirelli. The P0 was developed with the XK8 in mind, and it was the standard tyre at launch. Question number 2 was, there's only one country to which X100 was supplied with heated seats as standard from launch. It was available in other countries as an option and not available at all in some other countries. The only country to get them as standard was Canada, which is still to this day the highest specification in terms of standard spec going out to a country. A lot of that's because of climate, so heated seats, heated windscreens, heated steering wheels, and block heaters. Block heaters, if you don't know, a little connector that goes into the front grille, electrical connection on XK8s in Canada, and heats the coolant. And again, optional in some places, standard in Canada. Question 3 was, to the nearest 10,000, how many X100 Jaguars were produced? The answer is 90,064. So if you've got anything above 80,000 and you've got anything below 100,000, then give yourself a point. If you happen to know 90,064, very sad, just like me, but no extra points. And there are, as of 2021, only 6,500 registered as on the road in the UK. Obviously, the UK is one of the biggest markets. America is actually the biggest market. Questions 4 and 5, the correct answers were, for point each, were B, they have the strongest bite of all mammals, which really shocked me. I had to check it out and re-research it, find out if it really was true. It is. You would imagine that a tiger or a lion would have a maybe stronger bite, and certainly something like a hippo. But no, it's the jaguar. Also found out that that's why jaguars always go for the skull and just bite it, because they can. They can break through anything. So it's a single bite attack, whereas things like leopards will go for the softer undersides of their prey and try and damage them. And the other one that's true is C. They are only found natively in South America. So 1 point for each of those. So now you should be able to get your points for round 1. In our test round, we did get one person who managed to get 4 points, but nobody got 5 points. And that was Eric. Well done, Eric. Round 2. Round 2, very simple, straightforward round. Can you name these cat people? These are all people connected with Jaguar or are famous owners of Jaguars. Basically, who is in the picture? Question number 1. Who is this Jaguar fan? Question number 2. Who is this Jaguar driver? And question number 3. Who is this famous Jaguar driver of a very unique XK8? Question number 4. Who is this famous Jaguar driver? And finally, who is this famous Jaguar fan and driver? If you need a little of extra time, then please obviously pause the video now, and then we'll go into the answers. So, our round 2 answers. The first one, this is Elton John. Famously Jaguar mad. And that's one of his cars that he auctioned off with OK Elton was the meaning behind his private plate. Number 2, this was Eddie Irvine. It's an unusual one in that although he's a Formula One driver, people forget his face for some unusual reason. So maybe harder than it should be for a Formula One driver who came second in the Formula One World Championship. That was 1999, but he raced from 93 to 2002. Number 3, potentially the hardest of all the questions. That person is Jane Goldman. Now, Jane is a very famous lady if you're in that particular area of interest. She's a writer, producer, director of movies, and things you will have heard of. Films that I like that she's involved in is Kick-Ass, Kingsman, Stardust, all hers. But you can have half a point if you stared at her or a car and went, I can't remember what she's called. It's Jonathan Ross's wife. Give yourself half a point if that's what you came up with. The car is a one-off shooting brake XK8 that they had commissioned. And because she's into the horror genre as well, they had the, how I've been informed, landau or landaulet external hood mechanism put on the back to give it that sort of slightly creepy, almost hearse look, rather than just the glass panels of a standard shooting brake. Number 4 is arguably the most famous of all Jaguar drivers, but for less obvious reasons. That's Jaguar's test driver, Norman Dewis. He died a few years back at the age of 98, having developed and done all the test driving for the C-Type, D-Type, E-Type, many others, sitting alongside Sterling Martin and Miglia, and also co-developed the Dunlop disc brake. So a real British hero, Norman Dewis. And the last one, and possibly the easiest one, Roy Orbison. And big Jag fan, owns several. So score yourselves there. If you got 5 points, then you're matching Gerard and Steve, who got 5 on our test. Now our final round, and again something completely different. Can you name the mark or the make of the car by the mascot? And obviously this is not one of the questions, this image. This is just a reminder we have the best mascot. But can you name these cars? Question number 1. Question number 2. Question number 3. Question number 4. And finally, question number 5. If you'd like a little more time to think about it, then please press pause at this point. Otherwise, we'll go straight on to the answers. Number 1 was Austin. And for those of you sad enough like me to look at the lines of the bonnet, there you go, that's an A35 van. Number 2, a very, very rare sight in the UK, more a car that you might see on the classic scene in the States. This one is a Pierce Arrow. It's a car that's a company that ran from 1901 to 1938, based in New York. Number 3, I thought was a very tricksy one. I don't know if this is easier if you're American or easier if you're British. The answer is Nash. And the reason for the America versus UK thing is Nash is very much an American company. From about 1916 to 1954, they made Nash cars. However, there was a car called the Nash Metropolitan that was built by Austin in the UK. And so we're quite familiar with the Nash Metropolitan in the UK, and that is the bonnet emblem on that, as on many other Nash vehicles. Question number 4, the hair was Alvis, classic British brand. They ran from 1919 to 1967. And finally, one of the most expensive and exclusive brands of all time, Hispano-Suiza. Spanish built cars that ran from about 1904. And in theory could come out again because the company is still owned. It's more for many times. They haven't made cars for 60 years or more, but it's now part of the Snecma Aerospace Group. So the silver stork is Hispano-Suiza. How many did you get? If you got 5, you're amongst a very elite crowd. Oh, huge congratulations to anybody who managed to get all of those right. I wrote the questions and I struggled with some of them, but all good fun and more to come. I'll announce the next quiz during one of my videos. So obviously if you don't watch all the videos, you may not get that announced to you. But if you are on my emailing list, then hopefully I'll get a message to you prior so that you can join in live if we do it again on Zoom, or at least know that there's one coming out pre-recorded for you to enjoy on your own. So we're recording this on the 30th of December, very much in a run-up to the beginning of 2022, which can't come soon enough for me. 2022 has not been a good year in so many regards. Personally, most of you know that I lost my father and my wife lost her father as well in short term, and that's really knocked us about. From a work point of view, everything's changed. COVID has really affected things like that. And myself and my wife Jo are just recovering. I got my 2 clear tests today from COVID. So it really can't get much worse. We've had a bit of a rough time. But also, we haven't been able to get out in the Jag very much. And I don't like that. I think that our cars are for driving. Obviously, I enjoy so much playing and tinkering around, but it's not a showpiece. For me, it's a beautiful and enjoyable car. So that's been a real negative of this year. I just haven't been able to get out enough. In terms of wrapping up the year, I was looking at some numbers earlier. Here's my workings, if you like. Excuse the reflection from my light. So in 2021, Purdy, the XK8, only did 950 miles. And for me, that is very, very poor and a bit depressing. Ruby, the motor caravan, motorhome, we haven't had for the whole of the year, but she still managed to clock up 5,650 miles. That's not all been holidays, wish it had been. A lot of that has been work trips, and that's turned out rather well in terms of enjoying Ruby whilst keeping myself safe from COVID and stopping away from hotels and saving a bit of money and all that sort of good stuff. Blue, my X358 XJ limousine, has still managed to clock up 16,000 miles despite it being a very unusual year. My average miles in a normal year is something like 35,000. So even allowing for the other vehicles, it's still very low. And Snoopy, Arbath 595, has only done 1,600 miles. But bear in mind that myself and Jo have both been laid up for a lot of that time. We haven't had Snoopy for much of the year. 1,600 miles is actually pretty respectable. So I've covered about 24.2 miles during the year. In terms of spends, Purdy has not cost me a lot. I bought a wind deflector from Adamesh for £200, near as makes no difference. And I've spent about £300 in total on various service items, oils, bits and pieces that I've been tinkering around with. So she's been a pretty good girl. Ruby has had about £180 spent in service items, all done by me, so oils, filters, lubricants, whatever. I had to put a brand new set of tyres on her. That's cost about £650. And I spent about £200 doing little bits of upgrades in the interior. So I put a better set of speakers in there and a clock on the wall and a few other mods and tweaks. So again, it hasn't really cost us a lot. Blue, which is my everyday car, the XJ, has cost about £600 in servicing. The lion's share of that disappeared when a water pipe cracked that connects up to the exhaust gas recirculation system. And I couldn't get at it and I needed the car sorted quickly. So I sent it to my independent, who did a brilliant job. That's Neil Muggleston at Anton's Gout. Go there, check it out. Sorted that, brilliant. I spent about £180 on the hi-fi, getting the blown speakers sorted and putting in a second-hand amplifier. I spent £78 on a rear view camera mirror, and I had a blowout and I had to spend £120 on a tyre. So, yeah, not too bad if we're honest, given what's gone on. And Snoopy, we haven't had her for long. She's had about £40 worth of decals put on. I spent £20 sorting out the calipers to make them pretty. And then there's the big expense. You'll have seen in a recent video, we spent about £3 getting her converted to a full-on automatically braked and lit A-frame towing car for the motorhome. So yeah, that's sort of the review of the spend for the year. In keeping with the sort of work I do, I've got things like T-card boards knocking around me, and I'll just give you a little glimpse at the fact I've got T-cards now for videos I'm making or gotta make. So there's plenty to come. The shelf over here is where I stash all the bits and pieces to keep sending out. Calendars at the moment mainly to folk, and our hats, etc., and the stickers. And I'm spending so much time on customs paperwork. It's really very, very depressing. Apologies to anybody who ordered a calendar and hasn't got it, or more likely has had to pay to have it released from their local post office. That is just, unfortunately, the nature of the bitter relationship some countries have got with the UK following Brexit. Trust me, I've paid a lot to post some of these, a lot more than some people have been asked to pay in postage, but some of them still get caught up. I think it's only affected about 8 people out of 100 and something that I've sent them to. But huge apologies to those folk who've had to pay a few quid to get their calendars released from their local post office. We've got number 120 there. So if you want a calendar, there are 80 left. And when they're gone, they're gone. I shan't be reprinting. So get your order in very, very soon if you want to obtain a calendar. I think all that remains now is to say to every single one of you, thank you so much for watching the videos that I put out. Really, really appreciate it. I repeat it regularly, but I'll repeat it again. It's my hobby, not my job. So the fact that there is about 13,000 people have subscribed to the channel is just fantastic. I'm speechless. I'm never speechless, but you know what I mean. It just is beyond anything I could have hoped for to have so many friends out there who are joining in with the comments, getting involved, sending in secrets for me to video, etc., etc. It's just been a complete treat. And in a year when we've all been trapped at home, hopefully my videos have given you a little bit of entertainment. They've certainly given me something to work on. And whilst there's not been so many over the last few months, hopefully next year we can go outside and do some really good and interesting things. I love you all. Happy New Year. Let's hope 2022 is the year we all wish it will be. Keep on driving those Jags or tinkering with whatever you find fun and enjoyment in your garage. See you soon. If you're enjoying our channel, then don't forget to subscribe and click the little bell icon so you get notifications of new videos. And please give us a thumbs up or thumbs down, and you can share the videos. And below the video is always the area where you can comment and get involved with the chat.